I don't know what to make of this movie, man. So we both went into it blind, not knowing what to expect. Um, I was expecting, I don't know what I was expecting, not this. So it starts off pretty much like, okay, this is going to be a 1970s Italian ripoff of Frankenstein, pretty much. And I've seen a lot of Italian movies from the 70s. A lot of them are giallos, but aside from the giallos and the spaghetti westerns, when you're talking about B movie or horror movie or low budget 70s to 80s Italian films, a lot of them are just like ripoffs and sensational ripoffs, like Terminator ripoffs and Alien ripoffs and things like that. Um, and I don't know, it started off like that's what this was going to be because it followed the Frankenstein plot pretty similar. But then out of nowhere, it just get really salacious and sexual and like tawdry. I liked it, but I didn't expect it to go in that direction.
I don't know what kind of expectations I was having with this either. Obviously, it's a public domain film. I looked it up on IMDb ahead of time, and this just looked like some typical 70s B Euro trash to me. So, and I don't mind some of those movies. I have a lot of them in my collection, and this one seemed to fit right in. So,
yeah, this definitely seems something that would fit into your channel perfectly.
uh-huh.
But it's been a while since I've watched a movie like this, where it's just like the the taboo stuff really is on the forefront. Because this feels like, at times it feels like a Hammer film. But Hammer, they would cast either playmates or women that look like playmates. And at the most they would do is, you know, accentuate their bosoms or maybe have them walk around a little bit in lingerie. But they never focused on a lot of nudity or sex or sexual storylines. This really pushed it to the forefront. And it's not that over the top, but it just completely caught me off guard. Like, what was driving the storyline? It was just like, okay, that's where we're going. I'm cool with it.
You know, I found the nude scenes were very interesting because they seemed
I'm
to
sure you
be just
did.
thrown in for no reason. We have a couple outside in the field, and next thing you know, one of them is completely naked on the ground. Why? I don't know. You know, we had that weird guy in the bed, and then that girl hiding in bed underneath him. Or in bed with him. She's got to pop out. She's topless, of course. You know, just it almost seemed like I review a lot of movies that were made in Germany in the early '70s. These Bavarian sex comedies. That's the kind of nudity I was seeing here. Just random acts of nudity, which again I don't mind. It's just it doesn't seem like it quite fits the film, but whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Because, okay, so it starts off following the plot pretty similar. And, you know, you have the grave robbing, you have Baron Frankenstein. Harry's played by Joseph Cotton. Joseph Cotton had an interesting career because he worked with Hitchcock, he worked with Orson Welles. He's been in some of the greatest films ever made, like The Third Man and Citizen Kane. But then later in his career, I think we talked about this as well with George Sanders from Village of the Damned, yeah, where it's just like these older actors, like they have the name value, but they're too old or they don't have the leading man looks or whatever, and they can still use their fame to be in like B movies, horror movies, and things like that. And that's kind of what happened to Joseph Cotton. He starred in a lot of movies like this later in his career.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, work is work. You know, if you can't get that leading man role in the big movies anymore, you're a big enough name where you could attract the attention of, I guess, you know, your Ed Wood type filmmakers. Sometimes I think of Bela Lugosi when he teamed up with Ed Wood. Similar type thing. You know, you tell your producers or whoever's giving you the money, you got this star. It might aid you in getting that film made.
Yeah, I forgot the term for it, but when I'd interviewed God, I'm forgetting the guy's name. I'll put his name on screen. He played the grandfather in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He
Yeah.
was saying that I think it's a holding contract or something, but they'll take the star. They may not even have a script. They'll just have maybe like a title and a synopsis or treatment. And then they'll say, hey, are you free? And then they'll hold that star and they say, oh, hey, we have this film idea. We have this star willing to star in it. And then they'll get the money for the filming. And I think maybe stuff like that happens with, you know, guys like Joseph Cotton, because you know, it seems like commonplace. Secure a name, secure a concept, and then get your money. And you need that star to secure the money from the producers, type thing. Joseph Cotton was the only really name I recognized. The actress that plays Tanya, or Lady Frankenstein, Sarah Bay is the easier name to pronounce, but that was like a pseudonym for her. Rosalba Neri?
Neri, yeah. I don't know anything about her either. I'm looking at her IMDb page, and I
Yeah,
don't
she
recognize.
married the guy who financed the film like a couple years later after they made it. So I guess this worked out for him in more than one ways. So she's a very attractive girl. But I would say this: there is a plot point where after Frankenstein is bear hugged to death by his monster creature, she then talks to his assistant and says basically, I know you're in love with me, which is super creepy because theoretically he's been watching her grow up since she was a child. You know, this is like the grooming type level of things going on here. For her to say like, I know I know you've been attracted to me and you've been quietly sitting along, not saying anything about it. Clearly, like when she was 12, 13, 14, he's watching her grow up with like lusting eyes. That's incredibly creepy right there. The way she degrades him while saying it as well. I've mentioned cuckolds to you before on this show, but he really came off like a cuck in this, where it's like she's degrading him and saying like, oh, you're not man enough to do anything about it. And then she's like, hey, you see this retarded handyman here? He is so fucking hot. I want to bone him so bad, but he's kind of dim-witted. If you can get his body, I would totally fuck you. And all I need you to do is kill him, then you die, and I'll transfer your brain. How hot would a girl have to be for you to say, I gotta do this? So I started thinking about that. If there was a way to recast Lady Frankenstein with the top 5 actresses that I would do this for, I came up with a quick list in my head. I would say Swordfish Halle Berry in 2001, Laura Croft Tomb Raider 2001 also with Angelina Jolie. We have 96 Bob Wire, Pamela Anderson in her prime, her Baywatch days. Oh, we got Desperado. With the Mexican actress
Salma
Hayek, and then I got to go, of course, with my girl Pam Grier in Coffee, 1973. So, I mean, theoretically, if I was in a sci-fi movie, I guess those would be some. But in actuality, I would never do this for anyone. But again, that's just like, again, focusing on how insane the storyline is. It's like, that's part of what's driving the plot of this movie. It's just that she needs, not only does she want this monster to then kill the other monster, the other creature who's going around killing people, but she wants him to be her sexual Adonis to satisfy her needs. It's like, what am I watching here? I thought it was interesting, though, but...
Yeah, I looked it up. There's only a 15-year age difference between these two. And the guy was only 48 years old. Now, maybe if I was 84 and in that position, maybe you could consider that. But at age 48, you should, in theory, have a lot of years left in you. I wouldn't risk it on such a thing, no matter how good looking she was.
Because then he had to watch her have sex with the handyman before he went in there and killed him. That's literally what cucks do in these cuck porn type things.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Oh, the only thing he didn't do was just like take a shot to his face, but he did everything else. God, what a spineless jellyfish. But there are a lot of guys out there like that, you know? There are a lot of guys out there who think if they do anything a woman wants or says that they'll win her affection, you know? But yeah, I just thought that was interesting that that was one of the driving subplots of this movie. Um, but yeah, so I mean, what were your overall thoughts on this film? Like comparing it to like a Hammer film or a horror film or like erotic film? Like, how would you like categorize this thing?
Well, again, I consider this Euro trash. To me, this is a garbage film. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because I enjoy watching crap like this, and if it's entertaining enough, I can appreciate it on that sort of level. And this was entertaining to me. You know, it was a quick 86 minutes, I think it was. At least the version I saw was,
Mhm.
and I can enjoy it at that level. This is, like I said, a public domain movie. I think I have it on 3 different compilation sets, and according to IMDb, the running time I saw is 13 minutes shorter than the one listed. So maybe there's other versions out there. I don't know, but yeah, it was a quick, quick garbage film for me, and I enjoy that.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I liked it. I definitely liked it. I enjoyed it. It surprised me how salacious it was and where they went. They even recreated the scene where the Frankenstein's monster creature, whatever, takes the little girl and throws her in the water.
Yeah.
But of course, in this movie, it's a fully naked grown woman that he throws into the water. That's the only part of the film that didn't work for me. In that, obviously, Frankenstein, we don't, this should go without saying, but I'll say it. Obviously, Frankenstein is a much better movie than this. But there was no focus on the creature in this movie, aside from, like you said, throwing in some extra nude scenes and maybe some gore, which is cool, which is great, which is why you watch stuff like this. But I thought maybe some scenes, I mean, they didn't have to go far. They were imitating the movie anyway. Maybe some scenes of him struggling with his humanity I thought would have been interesting. But the minute he comes on screen, it's not even about him. It's about the cheesy makeup, maybe some blood and gore effects and some naked women. But I thought they could have done more with the
You
monster
know,
because that was the least interesting part of the film.
to be honest with you, I forgot about the monster for a while because it wasn't on screen for quite a while. Then all of a sudden, they have the new operation to put him in, put Charles's body, or his brain, I should say, in Thomas's body, and then we cut to a scene in the city with the people with the pitchforks and the torches and things. It had probably been a good 20, 25 minutes, even longer, perhaps, since you'd seen the creature. It'd been a while. I honestly forgot about it. I was like, oh yeah, there's another thing going on out there.
Yeah, yeah. And the ending was also kind of weird. Of course, it ends with more sex and nudity, and but it really seemed like, I think, like you said, maybe there's a longer version out there that we haven't seen. Maybe because it's the public domain, this is what's left. But that seemed like the end. It just cut off. It didn't know how to end. Maybe like, what did you think about the ending?
Well, I was looking at the running time, and I'm thinking, there's 45 seconds left in this movie. What's going to happen yet? Because they haven't resolved everything. So yeah, I thought it was very strange. But to answer your other question, this did get a Blu-ray release not too long ago by Arrow. They put it out. So that's probably a nice, cleaned up, full version. I haven't seen it. I don't know about it, but I would be willing to bet there's more out there.
Yeah, it just, ending left you like, I don't know. I hate to say unsatisfied because then that sounds like a sexual term, but it's just weird. Like, why would they start having sex as the place is burning down? Like, that's when you're gonna, and of course she's fully naked on top of him. And why would he kill her if she's?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, there's chaos going around, but we got to get down on the floor and get going for it.
Maybe there was like a quota, and like every 10 minutes or so, there has to be like nudity and sex, and it's like,
yeah.
Oh, we got to hit our quota. But yeah, the ending was just odd. It was odd. I don't know. It was just like, it seemed like there was just like, I was just like confused throughout most of the watching of this movie. I guess maybe if I would have read the synopsis and I knew more about it going in, I wouldn't have this reaction because I know what to expect. but it is kind of interesting, like just going into a movie blindly, expecting like just a horror movie, and then instead you get this like tawdry sexual escapade. So maybe for people who go into it knowing what it is, they won't react the same way I did. But I don't know, it just left me shocked. But I enjoyed it. I thought the tawdriness of it worked. I just wasn't sure who were we supposed to be rooting for in this movie, because her lover.
She's not a likable character by any means.
No.
And
her
so,
lover
yeah,
gets like
I
a
don't
moral.
know.
He gets like a little bit moral crisis of conscience at the end, but he did help her kill the guy whose body he's using. So it's like, are we supposed to be rooting for him, for her, the father, the monster? Like, who's likable in this movie?
No, there's nobody.
Yeah. But like you said, it's entertaining, and it is what it is, and I would highly recommend it. I was thoroughly entertained, and there were no like, oh God, this is going to sound like another sexual innuendo. There were no soft spots in this movie. So it starts off a little bit slow, but the slow part kind of like, it kind of, because I didn't really need to see that long extended scene with him turning the creature into like bringing it to life, because you saw it done better, you know, with the original movie in 1931. You don't need to see it done 40 years later on a cheap Italian set. Aside from that, everything else pretty much moved pretty quickly. And even the beginning, it made you at least get a feel for the relationship with her and her father, which is why I thought there would be more to it. Because before she became the main character and her father was the main character, the Baron, it seemed like a horror movie. So even as the beginning where it isn't as interesting, it at least set up the characters well. Like, it does show that she has a medical past. She loved her father. She wanted to continue his work. It did set up the characters well. And then once she becomes the main character, whew, there's a lot of nudity, a lot of sex, and a lot of tawdriness. So definitely a thumbs up.
Yeah, this is quintessential Euro trash in my opinion. So, it gave me I had certain expectations based on same, and it fulfilled them. So I guess I can't ask for anything more.